The moment unfolded like a breaking update that no one in the town was prepared for. Early this morning, a routine gathering turned into a subject of intense discussion when a respected cowboy made a decision that challenged long-held expectations. For weeks, many assumed he would choose the sister widely described as beautiful, admired for her appearance, confidence, and social standing. She was seen at community events, praised openly, and often mentioned as the obvious choice. When the time came, however, the outcome sharply contradicted public opinion, leaving those present visibly stunned. According to people who witnessed the moment, there was a pause, long enough for uncertainty to settle, before the cowboy calmly made his choice. The rejection of the admired sister was not dramatic, but it was firm, and that quiet firmness carried more weight than any argument could. Conversations stopped, expressions changed, and disbelief spread quickly. Within minutes, word traveled beyond the gathering, reaching nearby ranches, shops, and homes. What seemed like a personal decision instantly became a topic of public interest. Observers say the reaction was not driven by anger, but by confusion. Many struggled to understand how someone could walk away from what society often labels as ideal. Local voices began speculating about motives, values, and unseen factors that may have influenced the decision. Some described it as unexpected courage, others as unnecessary risk. Social circles buzzed with questions rather than answers, each version of the story growing slightly with every retelling. By midday, the event was no longer just a personal matter. It had become a symbol of choice versus expectation, raising broader questions about what truly defines worth. What started as a simple decision now stood at the center of attention, marking the beginning of a story that would be discussed far beyond that single morning. As more details emerged, the focus slowly shifted from the shock of the decision to the reasons behind it. People close to the situation began sharing observations that suggested this choice had been forming quietly for a long time. While public attention often followed charm and outward beauty, the cowboy's daily life told a different story, one shaped by long hours, uncertainty, and repeated tests of patience. In those moments, it was not admiration that mattered most, but consistency and trust. According to those familiar with the family, one sister preferred attention and comfort, remaining mostly present during celebrations and social gatherings. The other, often overlooked and rarely mentioned in praise, became a steady presence during difficult days. She showed up when work was heavy, when plans failed, and when setbacks threatened morale. Her support was not loud or noticeable, but it was reliable. Over time, that quiet strength began to outweigh everything else. Community members now say the cowboy valued character over reputation. He reportedly watched how each sister responded to pressure, loss, and responsibility. Small actions, repeated over months, carried more meaning than appearances. When storms damaged property and resources were stretched thin, it was the less favored sister who offered practical help and emotional steadiness. These moments, unnoticed by most, slowly reshaped his perspective. Local voices also point to a deeper message behind the decision. In a place where tradition often defines choices, the cowboy's actions challenged a long-standing mindset. He rejected the idea that value is measured by popularity or praise. Instead, he highlighted resilience, loyalty, and presence, qualities that rarely draw immediate attention but prove essential over time. As this understanding spread, opinions began to shift. What once seemed irrational started to appear deliberate and thoughtful. The narrative moved beyond beauty and rejection, revealing a choice rooted in experience, observation, and a belief that true partnership is built on endurance rather than admiration. In the days following the decision, the town continued to react, but the tone of the conversation gradually changed. What began as surprise and criticism turned into reflection. People who initially dismissed the choice started reconsidering their assumptions, realizing how quickly judgments had been formed. The story no longer centered only on rejection, but on the values that guided it. Discussions at markets, workplaces, and family tables revealed a growing awareness that appearances often overshadowed deeper qualities. Public opinion remained divided, yet more voices acknowledged the courage it took to go against expectation. In a close-knit community where tradition carries weight, challenging the common narrative comes at a cost. Some believed the cowboy risked his reputation, while others argued he strengthened it by acting honestly. The choice became a reference point in conversations about commitment, respect, and long-term partnership. It raised a simple but uncomfortable question. How often are the quiet, dependable individuals overlooked? Meanwhile, attention also turned to the woman he chose. Once ignored, she now found herself under scrutiny. Rather than seeking validation, she reportedly continued her routine without change, reinforcing the very traits that influenced the decision. Her calm response contrasted sharply with the noise surrounding her, further shifting perception. Observers noted that consistency, not reaction, defined her character. The broader impact of the decision extended beyond personal relationships. Community leaders and elders referenced the event when discussing fairness, patience, and judgment. Younger generations, in particular, saw it as a lesson in looking beyond surface-level appeal. The story became an example of how meaningful choices are often misunderstood at first. By the end of the week, the narrative had evolved. It was no longer about who was rejected, but about why a different path was chosen. What started as a controversial moment settled into a reminder that lasting respect is earned quietly, and sometimes the most powerful decisions are the ones that refuse to follow the crowd.